Greetings to all of humanity. It's really a joy, it's a pleasure, it's my honor to be out here well connected with nature and bringing to you this message of emancipation, whereby I'm pointing to look inwardly to discover that your real identity is your divinity. That's why I want to speak to you concerning this important subject of heaven and hell. Now, most people when they speak about heaven and hell, they always point either to the sky or they point downwards. So when they're referring to heaven, they're pointing to the sky. And when they are speaking of hell, they're pointing downwards, as if to say that hell is under the earth and heaven is up in the sky. But because of their lack of understanding of oneness, they fail to realize that heaven and earth is also speaking of mind and body. Okay? Because even for you to say heaven or hell, it's supposed to have to be a concept. It has to first be a thought or idea in your mind. And that is why for you to understand my philosophy of heaven and hell, you'll have to understand the way how I teach the Bible based on how I would have experienced the Bible. So I teach that the Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically. For the Bible is not literal, neither is it secular history. And that it was written symbolically. For the Bible have no reference to anyone who existed thousands of years ago, to any actual event that would have taken place on earth thousands of years ago. I teach that from the beginning to the ending of the Bible, that it's all a great psychological drama and it all have to do with the human psyche. So follow me here now. When you are in your right state of mind, the right way of thinking, and operating in your mental faculties that you're born here with, you'll be able to experience what it means to live in heavenly places. Because you now have the right concept of yourself. You now know who you are because you're living from here and you've been led and guided from here, which means you've been led and guided by your intuition, not education, not intellectualism, not based on the system of the world. Okay? So when you understand that heaven is here, psychologically speaking, and it's a dwelling place, a psychological place of dwelling also, then you would understand why heaven is a dwelling place and it's also a body. And when you're in that body, there's no sickness, there's no death, there's no crying, there's no poverty, there's none of these things. Because you have an eternal body, which is the soul, and that is invisible. And now you have the visible soul as the body, which is the physical man, which is you trapped in hell. So my brother and my sisters, when you understand your descension, where you descend into generation, and you must ascend into regeneration, you will understand with the descending, you descending first down into hell to have this human experience. And you must overcome death, hell, and the grave. So your life here, having this experience, you must become an overcomer to ascend, which is coming to a higher place of consciousness, a higher place of understanding, wisdom, knowledge. This knowledge is of self. So my brother and my sisters, what I'm saying to you is that heaven and hell is all mental. It's all psychological. So when you have a mindset that is based on the physical realm, where you're just living in the five senses, and you're not tapping into the sixth sense, and you believe everything that the system have given you through their educational system, their political system, and their religious system, you are bound and you are trapped in survival mode, and you are also kept under the fear energy. But when you discover who you are, because you're willing to change your mentality, and you're dwelling in a higher place, of consciousness, you start to see the difference. And then you start to see that when you dwell in the physical realm, it keeps you in limitation, it keeps you in mediocrity, and it have a lot of self-doubt to that kind of thinking, which is this hellish place of dwelling, psychologically speaking. Okay? But when you transform yourself by the renewing of your mind, because you understand that the Bible is psychological and that it is not literal, then you realize that you are the one who have to decide whether you're going to live in heaven or hell, whether you're going to be the lender or the borrower, whether you're going to be the head or the tail, whether you're going to be above or beneath. So actually speaking, heaven and hell is actually the polar opposite of the same thing. It's like a coin that has a head and a tail. It's like your body having this human experience. You have a head and you have a tail. You have a mind, you have a body. And the brain is just a transmitter and a receiver of energy, vibration, frequency. And you are a mass of energy. So my brother, my sisters, wherever you are dwelling psychologically would mean whether you are living in hell or heaven. Now, if you are dwelling on the left brain side of thinking and living, then you will be dwelling in hell. But you're living in the right brain, because you see, in the left brain, there's a lot of limitation. It limits you. False identity is there too. But on the right brain thinking is where you become more actualized. You become more realized. You're now thinking for yourself. And because you're dwelling in the right brain frame of mind, the Bible tells you you're now throwing your net on the right side. And you have a great catch of 153. Because that's a frequency that you can use to create your reality consciously. That's the same frequency you use with television and long wave radio and so on. There's a frequency. So my brother and my sisters, in my experience of heaven and hell in a dream, there was those people who was tormented. And there was I over on the other side, who was unmolested, who was in joy, peace and happiness. And I can tell you, now I come to understand that dream. And there was a gulf also between myself and those who was over on the other side. We could see each other. But they can't come over where I'm at and I can't go over where they are. Okay? I've come to realize is where we dwell psychologically. Is what kind of body we choose to dwell in. You see, when we dwell from here and we are believing in the invisible body, our invisible self, our inner self, when we start to live from within, we are living from heaven. So you're experiencing heaven on earth. So you're experiencing heaven in hell. So you overcome hell. You put the devil on their feet, which is all the self-doubt. And all the fallen angels, which is negative thoughts. You put them on their feet. So my brother and my sisters, we are here to discover that we are overcomers. And we must overcome. So you have a choice. And you have to decide what you want. By the things that you're willing to do. So you can pray to a God outside of yourself and believe in a God outside of yourself. Or you can go within through meditation, through visualization, through affirmation, through scripting. You can do all of these things because you believe in yourself, because you love yourself and you accept yourself. And you believe that the self of man is God. And you believe to dwell in heavenly places is to dwell in your right mind, in your right thinking, to have clarity of mind. So my brothers and my sisters, it's all about the mind. Basically, that's what I'm saying. Heaven and hell is all about the mind. So you have a choice. You can either create your reality consciously or you can create your reality unconsciously. You can either believe in abundance and prosperity or you can believe in poverty and mediocrity. Okay? It's all your choice. And one is the master and one is the slave. Here is the master and this is the slave. And you are making the choice. It is you who is making the choice. So that is why you must have a personal relationship with God, because salvation is a personal thing. Because true salvation is self-realization. That's why my brother and my sister, I'm saying to you that your real identity is actually your divinity. Therefore, change your mentality and you change your reality. Live in heaven, not hell. Get rid of all the hellish thinking, that hell mentality, that idolatry mentality, believing in a God outside of yourself. The Jesus and Mary story has been given to you for you to be identified with idol or idol worship. To you, for you to bow down before a slave master outside of yourself and fail to realize that you are the master, you are the Lord and master of your destiny, and that you can create your reality consciously. So my brother and my sisters, if I'll be honest with you, when you look at people who look like me, many of them are making the decision to be slaves because they've been given a choice to be the master or the slave. And many are choosing to live in hell. Because you see, your hell is someone else's heaven. And someone's heaven is another person's hell also. So you have to know the choice that you want to make. Okay? So with that being said, my brother and my sisters, I want to thank you very much. I want to say, I hope from today you have the right concept of heaven and hell. You know, there's so much more to be said, but I think I would have said enough to help you to have a better understanding. So, with that being said, I want to say, if this is the very first time you listen to me, what I'm saying resonating with you, if you haven't subscribed already, I encourage you to subscribe, to like, to comment, or to share this video. Also, I'd like to encourage you to follow me on Instagram at BlackMadGuru. And if you haven't checked out my course as yet on my Patreon, it's there, you can check it out. It's the Inner Sun Science and Technology, or the Inner Sun Engineering to create your reality consciously. So you can check it out. Also, if you'd like to support this work in any way, we have a PayPal and the link is down below for you. So check out all the information that's down below in the description. So with that being said, I want to say peace, love you all, out.